Hi, I'm Amadara Mills, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Tobago. Today we're coming to you from the office of the Chief Secretary, located at the Administrative Complex in Calder Hall. It's one of the 10 Tobago House of Assembly divisions and the main office of Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles. As usual, it's been a pretty busy week for us, so we have much in store for you in the next half hour, starting with the headlines. Tobago is working towards creating a green economy by protecting its natural assets. Young girls are being urged to look after their health. And later, we have the results of the Chief Secretary's Charity Golf Tournament. We've got all this and more when Let's Talk Tobago returns. Stay with us.
So when you're here, fiddle and tambourine attack, rush back a dance and quite later walk, jumping old time carnival, pulsing by the sea. Come July, Tobago is the place to be.
Tobago Heritage Festival from mid-July to August 1st. Tobago, it's the place to be.
Come on here, both tails down and let it all. Come and spend July in Tobago.
Thanks for staying with us. Now it's important to keep the public up to date on the THA projects and programs and the services available to the public. It comes to you straight from the Department of Information. Now Tobago is seeking to preserve its natural assets for generations to come, and the Tobagonians contributed their ideas through a recent environmental symposium. Here's more. Tobago's main Ridge Forest Reserve is one of the island's most valuable natural assets. It can create sustainable jobs for many people on the island, especially for those who live in the northeast. So the establishment of eco-camp sites is a niche tourism business idea that fits right into the agenda of the IFPAM-TT project. IFPAM-TT stands for Improving Forests and Protected Area Management in Trinidad and Tobago. The suggestion was made during an environmental symposium which focused on the green in the island's mantra of clean, green, safe and serene.
And also was thinking about probably in the Northeast Tobago, probably maybe some eco campsites could generate some economic activity up there, and also maybe do some marine studies, probably have a little campus or some, have a little campus or something just to specifically deal with marine studies, something like that, a niche area. Maybe we could put our heads together and develop a niche area study to encourage people to come to the island also.
Another suggestion is the establishment of museums that showcase crops like sea island cotton and indigo, two products that are part of the island's agrarian history.
Indigo, that Tobago produced as one of the major 9 crops during the colonial period. There is a kickstart that we could probably do a museum. I'm not saying we have to, but assess it. Where? Palliative. I think in the training that we've provided for Palliative through THCI in terms of community tourism, they had the idea and they probably should be assisted.
The Tobago aspect of IFPAM-TT is a collaboration between the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and the Environment. The Environmental Symposium is a part of that partnership. In his presentation, economist Willard Phillips explains how Tobago can profit from good environmental practices such as agrotourism.
You're promoting your agricultural infrastructure, your agricultural resources as part of your touristic experience. So you go to some places and you have the opportunity of going on a farm, assisting with harvesting, experiencing the farm life and so on.
IFPAM-TT is a 4-year project. As part of the initiative, a Northeast Tobago Management Trust was set up to monitor how the forest reserve, along with the neighboring communities and the marine areas, are managed. The trust also looks at the creation of sustainable jobs and activities that won't negatively affect the natural environment. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago. The Office of the Chief Secretary also has responsibility for public administration and the THA's property management services, which are housed in the building behind us. Now we're in the month of June, and that means graduation season. Students of the Youth Apprenticeship Program in Agriculture, YAPA, were thrilled to cross the stage and begin a new journey into the world of work. It's all in our next story from Kern de Freitas.
The Youth Apprenticeship Program in Agriculture, or YAPA, was started to raise the next generation of farmers in Tobago. It provides training to make sure young people in agriculture can become skilled, self-sufficient entrepreneurs. They get just the right mix of theory and hands-on education through placement on various local farms and institutions. Since the YAPA program emerged 4 years ago, more than 250 students have completed training. This includes Cycle 11, which recently graduated from the program.
It may sound unfortunate, as I say today, that we may be witnessing yet today, for sure, the end of the final cycle of the Youth Apprenticeship Program in agriculture. That is one thing for sure, simply because the program at the national level has been closed. But I can also say with surety today that our mandate for continuing to train young people in agriculture will continue way into the future.
2 cycles of students graduated at the event. They received certificates, having completed the program. This included 9 students from Cycle 10 and 45 from Cycle 11. 31 Cycle 11 students earned certificates of completion, and the other 14 certificates of participation.
And it is a wonderful thing to see the young people of Tobago expressing great interest in agriculture and making valuable contributions to the development of the food and agriculture sector. On this note, I would like to applaud the invaluable work of the principal and the staff of the Kendall Farm School. Firstly, not just for the successful completion of yet another cycle of the YAPA at the school, but for the consistent in the quality training programs offered there.
Agriculture is one of the pillars being used to transform and diversify Tobago's economy. This means the graduates can take full advantage of their new skills.
The Minister of Finance has indicated that Tobago will get an additional $20 million to ensure that we develop some of our access roads, which will obviously open up more lands for the purpose of agriculture.
The graduation ceremony was held at the Glamorgan Community Center. I'm Kern de Freitas for Let's Talk Tobago.
Crime and violence is a global problem, and finding solutions isn't always about enforcement. It's also important to deal with the social aspects of the issues. So a series of round-the-table discussions was held to give Tobago students a chance to share their thoughts on the causes of violence and how they can contribute to the change. One of those meetings took place at the Goodwood Secondary School, and Crystal George brings you the highlights.
Violence in Trinidad and Tobago is a very sensitive topic, and it's one the Department of Youth Affairs is tackling by engaging young Tobagonians. The department recently hosted its roundtable discussion series in several secondary schools throughout the island. The discussion was themed Violence and the Impact on Youths. One of the stops of this series was Goodwood High School.
Bringing such a discussion to our schools, why aren't you bringing such a discussion for us to be, engaging and so on? And therefore we came up with the concept of doing lunchtime sessions, also operating in such a manner not to hamper or to cut in on the school curriculum or to cut into their class time. So what we developed is this concept of lunchtime sessions where we discuss for 45 to 60 minutes with students, engaging them on the relevant topics. Last year we would have done 5 high schools, and at the beginning of this year, in June now, we're doing the additional 5 high schools. Today, of course, we're at the Goodwood High School, and the topic for discussion is violence and the impact on youth.
Teens in their schools and communities often struggle with social and family challenges. Pent-up rage can lead to violence and aggressive behavior. But young people are being advised not to take matters into their own hands.
So if you're having problems at home, something is bothering you, affecting you to the point where you can't perform at school, you can't manage your own emotions, you can first go to the guidance officer or guidance counselor at your school. We have social workers that are attached to the schools as well. We also have the school psychologists. Yes, we don't have many of them, but they are available to hear what you have to say and to help you to learn the strategies necessary to manage your emotions in a healthy manner and appropriately.
The students viewed a short film that addressed elements of violence, as well as how to walk away from the bad situations and how to resolve violence. Many students found the session beneficial.
I could get all my studies, all subjects, and go to college and get a good job and not lead to violence and end up in jail or dead.
I thought that the conversation was interesting and it could help young people to learn how to not to be bad and how to respond when someone is bullying them and how to not to take matters in their own hand and go to adults that they can trust and help with their situation.
This is the second year of the Roundtable Discussion Initiative. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to take a break, but coming up, the annual A.N.R. Robinson Distinguished Lecture Series is back. More after these messages.
Happy times. Summer garden, 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 yeah, summer garden.
It's easy to take your reproductive health for granted, but what you don't know can hurt you. So one woman is using her experience with fibroids to create greater awareness among young women about the condition and how to recognize the signs. Have a look as we bring you the story of Coris Nancis. 32-year-old Coris Nancis has a passion for sensitizing young girls and women about fibroids. She suffered through the condition during her teenage years, before being diagnosed at age 20. Coris had surgery to remove over 50 fibroids from her wound, the largest being the size of a baby. The experience pushed her to start the NGO Fibroid Awareness Trinidad and Tobago.
Education is very important so that girls and women could have confidence, they have control of their bodies, and then they can make the right choices, whether it's lifestyle changes they have to make or seek the requisite medical attention so that they would not have to be like me, suffering through high school thinking that it's very normal. And yeah, that's it. I just think education is critical to empowerment and making the right choices about self and health.
Coris shared her experience with secondary school girls as part of the Confidence Project. This pilot project is one of the outreach activities of her NGO. It's also the final phase of the Community Solutions Program Fellowship that's hosted by the U.S. Department of State. During the 4-month fellowship last year, Coris's training focused on girls' and women's reproductive health. She shared what she hopes to see coming out of this project.
I hope for two things: to encourage and empower young girls and even teachers who will be here today that they can accomplish anything they set out to. And I also want them to take away that despite you may be affected by a condition, you can overcome with information, with faith, and with the requisite knowledge so that you can make the necessary choices and not be hampered or, set back by any condition.
Dr. Marielle Armstrong, a house officer at the Scarborough General Hospital, educated the girls on fibroids. This non-cancerous condition occurs between their teenage years and menopause. Many of the girls also appreciated learning about the symptoms, risk factors, and treatment for fibroids.
I think it was educational. It helped me in plenty ways. Helped me know what's going on with my body that I didn't know before.
I did never know about the fibroids and other things that she told us about, and it was nice enjoying knowing about it. So like anytime I've seen signs, I could at least go to the doctor.
The Confidence Project took place at Speyside High, Signal Hill Secondary and the Bishop's High School. Through Fibroid Awareness Trinidad and Tobago, Coris plans to carry out other sensitization campaigns and encourage women to pay greater attention to their health. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago. He's one of the most celebrated sons of the soil, a former president and prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago. He was also the first chairman of the Tobago House of Assembly. So it was rather fitting that this year, the distinguished lecture series named in honor of A.N.R. Robinson focused on Tobago's journey towards autonomy. More in this story.
Realizing the dream from then to now. That was the theme for the 2018 A.N.R. Robinson Distinguished Lecture Series. This year, the session focused on Tobago's self-government struggle and the role of former Trinidad and Tobago Prime Minister and President Arthur N.R. Robinson in seeking autonomy for the island. Draft self-government legislation is being prepared to be taken before Parliament. But what are the benefits to self-government for Tobago?
The dream, to direct the development of the island in the interests of Tobago, to establish a full-fledged political machinery that is equipped to make and implement decisions about the island, be empowered to maximize development in accordance with the needs and wishes of the population, provide balanced development in all parts of the island, integrate culture as an essential complement of development, and the ultimate political liberation, which will in fact be effective autonomy.
Mr. Robinson also had a key role in the lead-up to the THA Act of 1980, as well as the THA Act of 1996. The latter gave the island 33 defined areas of responsibility.
The party that was in power in Trinidad and Tobago from 1956 lost both seats in Tobago to another party. The dismantling of the administration created such chaos in Tobago as an act of reprisal against the people of Tobago for the way they voted in an election. And it was the leadership of Tobago under A.N.R. Robinson that provided a compromise to the people. And that is how self-government, the term internal self-government, was proposed.
Tobago's youth, too, made their contributions on autonomy and what it means for the future.
The Honorable A.N.R. Robinson's dream for Tobago focused on putting the foundations in place for Tobago where we, as the next generation of leaders, have the autonomy and availability of resources to realize Tobago's fullest potential.
This is the fourth A.N.R. Robinson Lecture Series. It was held at the Scarborough Library facility. I'm Kern De Freitas for Let's Talk Tobago.
Culture is a very important part of this island's heritage, and the Tobagoanians have a strong affinity for oral traditions. Now the next generation is being introduced to storytelling through an initiative that's harnessing their creativity. Crystal George explains.
Kasha Isaac of John Roberts Memorial School of the Seventh-day Adventists got the nods from the judges. She won for her piece, David and Goliath. She took home the $5,000 prize for first place and an additional $2,005 for her school.
David's father, too, was getting worried of his sons fighting in the army. It was during this time that David was serving the king at his palace. So one day, David's father asked David to carry some food to the battlefield for his brothers. So David went to the battlefield all jolly, carrying the food that his father gave him. When he arrived, he saw that his brothers were terrified. It was then that he heard Goliath's challenge.
The second prize of $3,000 was earned by Kathora Mills of the Lands for Me Methodist Primary School. The school received 1,005. Kathora's piece was called Why Mosquito Buzz in People's Ears.
One morning, a mosquito saw an iguana drinking at a water hole. The mosquito said, "Iguana, you will never believe what I saw yesterday. Try me." The iguana said. The mosquito said, "I saw a farmer digging yams that were as big as I am."
Tyrese Franklin, also from John Roberts Memorial School of Seventh-day Adventists, was third. He recited Brer Rabbit and the Brer Patch. His prize was $2,000, with $1,000 going to his school.
Well, I don't have to tell you. Yes, you, who Brer Rabbit is. Because you all watch him on TV and you all read him in your storybook. He's a very tricky rabbit. Brer Rabbit was hungry and decided to take a stroll down to Mr. Popsy garden to thief some of his favorite food, which was some carrots.
The competition was again sponsored by the Republic Bank, which provided the prizes. I'm Crystal George for Let's Talk Tobago.
We've got to take a break, but when we return, we tell you about one golf tournament that's giving back to the island. Stay with us.
So when you hear fiddle and tambourine attack, rush back a dance and fight made a walk, jumping old time carnival, pulsing by the sea. Come July, Tobago is the place to be.
Tobago Heritage Festival from mid-July to August 1st. Tobago, it's the place to be.
Come and hear both taste down a Lekito. Come and spend July in Tobago.
From Calder Hall to Lowlands, as our next story is about a popular tournament that's raising the profile of golf on the island. It's also making a significant social contribution. Patricia Nicholson attended the Chief Secretary's Charity Golf Tournament to bring you the details.
The first day was practice day as the competitors geared up for the Chief Secretary's Charity Golf Tournament 2018. The players were also treated to gift bags and a cocktail reception later that evening. Then the tournament kicked into high gear, with veteran amateur Carlos Sexy Baines among those battling for a good cause and bragging rights. The tournament has been held under the patronage of the Chief Secretary of the Tobago House of Assembly for the past 15 years. It's hosted by the directors of JNR Investments Limited, Jeffrey Azar and Randall Rostand. Mr. Azar says while there were challenges with funding from the private sector, he's grateful to the ones who responded to his call for support.
I don't want to use the right word, so I will use the wrong word. A stressful derriere problem that you try your best to approach corporate citizens, and some of them don't have the decency to answer you back. That's how hard it is now in this day and age when you want to have a charity event. That's why I'm proud the Chief Sec has told me of his undying support.
Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles also gave his support for the three-day tournament in person. He says it's a meaningful event on several levels as golf has physical, mental and social benefits.
Now, I was particularly intrigued when I read that golfing is also good for your brain. Again, studies indicate that new brain cells are created and more oxygen is pumped to the brain when you are active in some kind of aerobic exercise. And the breaking news is that being involved in the sport of golf could help to ward off Alzheimer's.
Mr. Charles says the THA will continue to support the event.
I just want to underscore the commitment of the Office of the Chief Secretary to continue to provide some level of assistance to Geoffrey. He likes that. Because the issue of assisting the less fortunate is an issue that is very near and dear to me.
The winners were Wayne Batiste and Joe Harris. Damian Samlal Singh and Ian Samlal Singh teamed up for second spot, while the pair of Kervil Cowie and Shufi Ali were third. The event is part sponsored by the Tobago House of Assembly and a number of local businesses. All profits from the tournament will go to various charities around Tobago. I'm Patricia Nicholson for Let's Talk Tobago.
It's time to have your say. It's a segment of our program where we hear from you, the viewers. Let's take a look at who had their say this week.
Alright, so we're here with Miss Joan right now. So we're here with Bruce right now. So we're here with Brent right now. We're asking Mr. Philip. And we're asking Miss Winchester. So we're here at the Scarborough Library facility for the prize giving ceremony of the 2018 storytelling competition. We would have seen the primary school students go on stage and do their thing. Now we're asking, how do you feel about the tradition being kept on for 34 years?
That's a whole person. I think that's a very good tradition to upkeep, and it's going to benefit the children in a really, really good way. It's going to keep them, help build their confidence, help prepare them for speeches when they're ready.
I think it's an awesome opportunity. I hope that this would encourage more people to participate.
I remember from my primary school, my sister went up and performed as well. So I'm pleased to see it still continues, and 34 years is a lot, so yes.
I feel happy, excited, I'm glad.
It's commendable on behalf of the library, and the children are enjoying it a whole lot, and I wish it would continue.
Yes, and you need to know about traditions. Traditions should be kept. You know, sometimes we have the past history, picking up everything new, so they know that where they came from, the things that made them, right? Because part of the process of life.
I feel very satisfied and enthused towards the future, because the response that we get and the way the children perform, it tells us that storytelling isn't really dying. May have rested a little, but it is going to continue. It is well and truly alive.
Well, it's really nice to have tradition being preserved throughout, whether it be in storytelling or whatever other sphere, because we realize these things are slowly dying with the presence of technology and how it's sweeping the community. It's really nice to know that we can actually keep aspects like these alive and get the children involved and in it wholeheartedly.
We close yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago. And as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program. And be sure to visit our website, like our Office of the Chief Secretary Facebook page, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Amadara Mills, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a safe and productive week. We leave you with a montage of a few popular events that took place on the island during the past week. Do enjoy.